Hi, everyone, and welcome to this video. Basically, it's from separation to oneness to no thing. And I like this story, this idea of going from 2 to 1 to 0. Not that it's about conceptual understanding, but for the one who feels like a one, it sometimes can be helpful and provide a little bit of clarity in terms of this whole non-duality Advaita Vedanta story or message. So I'm going to share a PowerPoint, and here we together finally to discuss these points. All right. So the ancient conflict, man versus man versus nature, and man versus God. Since the dawn of philosophy, humanity has grappled with three fundamental conflicts. Man versus man, the struggle between individuals and groups and countries and all of that, driven by ego, identity, and survival. So mostly I would say it's about survival. The me wants to survive at every level, whether we're talking about that individually or in terms of a football team. People get very passionate about their football teams, or soccer, as some people may call it, or as a country, or as possibly a religion. We know that has happened as well. So it's man versus man. It's me versus you, basically, right? I want to survive. And not only do I want to survive, but I want to flourish. I want more. And yes, that's that. Man versus nature, the illusion of being separate from the world around us, trying to conquer, dominate, or escape nature. Now, again, in 2025, I think it's a pretty safe assumption to say that most people, for the most part, are sheltered from the elements. There are still some places where that might not be true, but for the most part, in modern society, we do have homes, we have running water, we have clothing, we have all that protection. We have that separation between ourselves and what we would call nature. Of course, we are nature. Everything is nature. Everything is the world and life and everything that's occurring. But we do try to keep ourselves separate from nature. And I don't think we're as afraid of nature as we used to be. Again, because we've created such a modern, cemented, technological, steel world, right? We have our buildings, our skyscrapers, our homes, and we feel quite protected for the most part. I live in the UAE. It's very hot here. I feel protected from the heat. Every building, pretty much, I would assume here, has air conditioning. And so we are able to survive, and not just survive, but flourish and grow and prosper and whatnot. The third conflict is man versus God, the existential tension between a mortal self and some higher divine other, always distant, always beyond reach. Now, probably for most of us here watching this video, we are spiritual aspirants. We are seekers. We are bhaktis. We are devotees. We are actually trying to get closer to God. We're trying to merge with God. We're trying to become one with God because we believe that that is our true nature. Our true nature is love and divinity. And so we might not think about ourselves in terms of being in opposition to God. But even for those who really want God, you might say, well, there's a great quote from the Bible that says, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So even though our spirit, our souls, our hearts, our best intentions really want to merge with God, not my will, but thy will be done, even though that might be there, you could say that the body has its own physical urges and desires, or that perhaps the ego comes in there and it blocks that connection between ourselves and God. Or it says like, oh, God, I'll do whatever you want. I just want to please you, God, but don't make me do this and don't make me do that. And I'm not crazy about doing this. And, you know, I still want my earthly pleasures, my snacks, my sweeties, as somebody once said. Or pride. Pride arises and we feel like, you know, maybe we intuit that God kind of wants us to be There was a saint that was basically God's fool, right? And he used to run around naked in the streets. Well, I think for most of us, God is not asking us to do that. Thank God, literally. But there could be times in our lives where we feel like that we're being asked to be vulnerable, asked to be put in an awkward, uncomfortable situation, to go beyond our comfort circle, basically, to go beyond our comfort circle, and that could create some issues with God. Or if you feel that you've been a very loyal servant and you've done everything you think God has asked you to do, and yet He still doesn't answer your prayers, that might also create some anger or resentment. Or if God, some people blame God for the death of their children or for the destruction of their home. We prayed to God, why did you allow this tornado to come and destroy our home, and things like that. So there, as long as you have duality, as long as you have I and other, even God is fair game in terms of having a relationship that you are either happy with or unhappy with, and of course, with all relationships, that's changing from moment to moment. You might feel very happy for 10 years, and then all of a sudden you're very upset, you're disillusioned, you're hurt. All kinds of things can happen, even with the relationship with God. So anyways, obviously, each of these could be discussed a little bit more in depth. These are just, this video is just intending to just sort of touch upon them. So man versus man versus nature, and man versus God. And if I remember correctly, the first time I heard of these ancient conflicts, it was during a film class in college, and it was very interesting to me. It's like you see something, but you don't realize what you're seeing necessarily until somebody frames it for you, and they say, look, if you look at most movies or most stories are basically highlighting these three conflicts: man versus man versus nature, and man versus God. And I thought that was kind of interesting. So these stories of a separate me against a hostile world have formed the bedrock of civilizations, religions, and revolutions. But underneath them lies a deeper confusion, a basic assumption unchallenged, that there is a me here and now, time and space, and a world that's out there, the 10,000 things, the everything that is objectified by me, the subject. That there is a subject and an object. When the subject arises, all of a sudden there are objects arising simultaneously with that subject. No subject, no object. Is there an I? Is there an other? Is it really so? What is actually true? So most people, I would assume, if you went and you interviewed the 7 billion people, if you had time to do all of that, and you asked them, I think it's safe to say that a majority of them would say that they feel separate from everything else in existence. They would say, yes, I feel like a separate, perhaps autonomous, sovereign human being. I am the subject and everything else is an object. They might not put it that way, but basically, yes, if they were honest, if you ask them about their direct experience, how are they perceiving reality, perceiving themselves, they would probably say, yes, I feel like an energetic, contracted, separate self, where I'm identifying with the abstract, conceptual self that I see in my mind, what we would call mind. There's me, my family, me, my religion, me, my civilization, my friends, my coworkers, my everything. Everything is objectified in that sense. Okay, let's move on. So that's the two-ness story. This is the oneness story. The turning point where we start to perceive life a little bit more inclusively, where for whatever reason, maybe it's even I remember taking some science classes when I was about 21 in college and seeing how humans were affecting the environment and just feeling like so remorseful and even guilty. There was a period of time where I felt guilty for being alive. Like, oh my gosh, I was vegan and I felt like anything I did, I was contributing to the destruction of the planet. And it was a difficult time in general for me because a lot of changes were happening and things like that. A lot of paradigm changes and things like that. But yeah, there definitely was on my 19th birthday, you could call it a spiritual awakening, or as Adyashanti says, a true prayer was said. There was the realization that the direction in which I was going was not where I really wanted to go. I was not happy, and I was not living a life of value or purpose or meaning, and just kind of floating around, being led by desires and fears and things like that. So you could call that an awakening. It definitely was a pivotal moment in my life that I can look back upon and see that within the timeline of my life, that's when a lot of things started changing for me. There were 5 years where a lot of changes happened, and a lot of work on myself, as we would say, a lot of investigating and curiosity into religions and psychology and books and spirituality and just all of it. Just trying to figure out what is true. God, who are you? What are you? And who am I? And what is our relationship? And are there any expectations from you of me? And what is my meaning and purpose in this lifetime? How should I live, right? So anyways, the turning point, one earth, one humanity, one consciousness. There's still duality, but it starts to soften a bit. It's like when you're hugging the person you love, you feel one with them. You don't feel so separate. There's still the awareness, the acknowledgement that there are two people hugging or whatnot, but it's softened. It feels like oneness. And this is why we love love, and why we love to love, because it softens the separation. So as our global crises mount, we're beginning to glimpse another possibility. Climate change reminds us we are not separate from nature. Wars show us that enemies are imagined lines drawn on maps. Technology connects us faster than ever, revealing our shared humanity. And in moments of great silence, or love, or loss, or wonder, the boundary between me and you softens. What if this isn't a world of 7 billion separate beings, but one divine being living in 7 billion forms? What if consciousness isn't something inside your head, but the very field of existence in which the head and everything else appears? This is the turning point of the journey, from division, from separation, to something called unity. The sages of old called it oneness, not merely a poetic idea, but a living, breathing, self-evident truth. There is only one earth, one universe, one humanity. There's only one breath, one life moving through all lungs and all beings. There's only one awareness shining through every eye. We call it love. We call it unity. But what it really is non-separation. And this is the beginning of true wisdom. Nisargadatta Maharaj said, there is variety and difference, but no separation anywhere. He said, life is a river that flows between the banks of pain and pleasure. Pain and pleasure. The mind would split them up into two opposites, but it's all the same one thing. One divine source, one divinity, one life. Adyashanti said, awareness is the context and consciousness is the content. Consciousness is everything that's changing. Thoughts, feelings, words, sensations, actions. But awareness doesn't change. That state of being, that stateless state, the context in which everything appears and disappears, is unchanging, the unmanifest, prior to all birth and death. Finally, number 3, Advaita Vedanta. So from 2 to 1 to 0. No self, no thing, only this. But now let us go even deeper, beyond unity, beyond peace, beyond experience, into Advaita, not two. Advaita doesn't just say all is one, it says something even more radical. There isn't a self. There is no one. There is no self, no me, no center, no person. The one who is asking, the one who is seeking, the one who is trying to become enlightened in the future was and is not actually there. I stands for illusion. The I is the illusion, the phantom self. There's only what is. And what is not a thing. It has no boundary, no beginning, no end, no layers, no levels, no dimensions, no form. Form is formlessness, energy, aliveness, absence. A thought appears, and it is made of the same nothingness as silence. A body appears, and it is not owned or controlled by anyone. No chooser, no choice. A world appears, but it is not separate from the seeing of it. This is not a teaching. It's not a practice. There's no teacher, no student. You cannot achieve this because it is already the case. Always and already, this is the Buddha. Already what is, already no separation, already no self. What you are looking for is what is looking. What you are running from is what you are. What you are is what you have always been. Nothing, appearing as everything. Pure awareness, unchanging, untouched, and yet not even that. Because in the final truth of Advaita, even awareness is not separate from what is. It is what is. And even that awareness consciousness duality goes. And what remains when everything has come and gone? Not a thing, not a word, not a state to be chased after. Only this, unnameable, undeniable, self-evident, effortlessly free, unconditional freedom, unconditional love. This is the end of seeking. At some point in the apparent timeline, seeking just stops and the seeker disappears. The energetic contraction releases, and then it is seen by no one that there never was a self. That was the illusion. That was the dream. So I leave you now with no answer, no path, no promise, only a gentle whisper from beyond the mind. You were never apart. You were never broken. You were never a person. All there is this, just this, which is everything. Whatever is happening, it is the eternal, boundless, silent truth. And it asks nothing of you because it is you. It's not something separate from you. All there is this. So, from 2 to 1 to 0. Now, if you were to speak to somebody, not me, because there is a me here, but if you were to speak to somebody where the me had or has disappeared, they would tell you that the two-ness story is a story, that the oneness story is a story, and that 0 is the reality in a way. They might not even say there is a reality because they are very adamant that there is no thing already, not in the future, now, and now. They used to bang on the floor saying, "This is the Buddha, this is the Buddha." And people thought, oh, he's just being metaphorical or something. No, this is it. This is aliveness. This is divinity. This is the beloved. Whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter what you call it. It's not about a label or a word or a name. It's about this living reality, which is beyond life and death. It's about this aliveness, this freedom for no one, because there's no one inside the body. That is what is being said from Advaita Vedanta. Vedanta, the end of knowing. It's not about a dualistic knowing. It's not about collecting more information or reading more books. Not at all. It's the end of the one who could know anything. So there's no knowing. It's the cloud of unknowing. You may have heard it that way as well. No more subject, no more object, just the appearance. But the appearance isn't the thing. It's energy, it's aliveness, it's unconditional freedom, unconditional love for no one. It's universal, it's wholeness, it's complete, it isn't missing anything. It's the ocean of loving kindness, compassion, and mercy. It's this. Whatever is happening, whatever thought is being thought, not by anyone, because there's no thinker. Every thought is this. Every word spoken is this. Every sensation in the body is this. Everything is this. There's nothing that's not this. There is no other. There's not even one. Now, this will sound like a story, but if you're in a dark room and you're not sure really what reality is, I'm in a dark room, I can't see, and then lightning flashes, and it's just for a second, right? But in that second, you see the truth. In that second, you see, there's no self, there's no one. And so it's not a long period of time at all, but it's clear. You now have clarity. In a way, we could say you now know the truth. You have seen the truth. The light has awoken you in a way, and you have seen that there isn't a self, there isn't a thing, and that there isn't separation, that everything is God. In a moment, everything is God. Everything is the beloved. Everything is divine. Just in that one seeing, fear can go away. The neuroses in the mind can disappear. Conditioning can go away, can disappear. A lot of hang-ups or rumination about things that just aren't important can just go away. All of a sudden, things that you thought were so important, that mattered so much, that you attached and applied so much value to, you see they're just empty. Empty. Everything is empty. And anything can happen. You may become very aloof. You may go to a cave or go to the top of the mountain or stay locked in your room, and that could happen. Or maybe even your heart opens up even more. Not only are we all one, but we are literally all this. All there is this. There's not even I, other, It's just this. And for sure, there have been beings in the story, in the past, who have seen this, who have had this paradigm shift, this energetic change, where they saw and realized that God is everywhere and in everyone and in everything. And their life became a life of service, no longer focused on the false, illusory self, no longer just trying to, eat as much as they can, basically consume the hungry ghost. I want more, I want more, I want more. How can I make this better and better and better and better? And I'm insatiable. Nothing seems to be enough. Nothing seems to fill this emptiness. And of course it never will, because everything is empty. All there is nothing. This is nothing. So if this is seen, it can rock your world. As Adyashanti says, it's the end of your world. And in that sense, it could be very scary for a me. A me might go running into the hills when it hears this message, when it is exposed to this truth that there isn't a self, there isn't a thing. Some people are very attached to the story of me, to the story of me and God. It's me and God, or it's me and my partner against the world, or it's me and, I don't know, my religion, perhaps, me and my whoever. And it doesn't want to hear that there, not only is there not two, there isn't even one, that there's no thing. But remember, this nothing is everything. It's wholeness. It's wholeness. It's not about, well, you could say it's about losing, but it's also about not that you're gaining anything, but you are realizing that you are one with everything. That's also the oneness story. I and other, we are one. All of this is one. Words can never describe this. No one will ever know this, because when it happens, it's the end of knowing. It's the end of the knower. It's the end of experience in the sense of subject-object relationship. There's no more relationship because there's no more two. There's not even one. That sounds like death. That sounds like absence. But it's total absorption as well. It's full on aliveness, full on freedom, full on love, unconditional love. Everything is allowed. Everything is allowed to be as it is, because everything is what is. All there is what is. All there is this, the beloved. This is the beloved. You are the beloved. Such beautiful music. This is nothing appearing as everything. This is unconditional freedom, unconditional love. This is the beloved.